magandang bati sa inyo lahat. Ngayon ay tatalakayin natin kung ano nga ba ang fair trade. Ang fair trade ay isang pandaigdigang kilusan na naglalayong magbigay ng patas na oportunidad sa mga manggagawa at maliliit na producer, lalo na sa mga bansang mahirap. Layunin nitong tiyakin na sila ay makakatanggap ng patas na sahod, maayos na kondisyon sa trabaho at suporta para sa sustainable practices. Sa madaling salita, ang fair trade ay tumutulong upang mabawasan ang exploitation, mapalakas ang lokal na ekonomiya at mapangangalagaan ang kalikasan. At ngayon ay dumapo naman tayo sa mga halimbawa ng fair trade. Una ay fair trade coffee. Ang mga magsasaka ng kape tulad ng Latin America o Africa ay binibigyan ng tamang bayad para sa kanilang produkto habang pinapanatili ang sustainable farming practices. Ikalawa naman ay ang fair trade chocolates. Sinusuportahan nito ang mga manggagawa sa industriya ng kakao na madalas na nakakaranas ng mababang sahod na hindi makataro ng kondisyon. Ikatatlo naman ay ang fair trade handicraft. Mga produkto tulad ng handmade bags, damit o accessories mula sa mga artista sa Pilipinas, India o Africa na binibigyan ng patas na kita at access sa global market. Ikaapat naman ang fair trade bananas. Ang mga magsasaka ng saging sa bansa tulad ng Colombia o Ecuador ay tinutulungan upang makabenta ng kanilang mga produkto sa mas patas na presyo. At panghuli ang fair trade tea. Mga tea farmers sa India o Sri Lanka ay sinusuportahan para sa kanilang kalusugan, edukasyon at sustainable farming. At narito ang article patungkol sa fair trade. Everyone's heard the term fair trade. The word conjures image of coffee, chocolate, and happy farmers with fresh produce advertised on a product. Most consumers have an idea that fair trade products are probably a good choice, but maybe they're not sure exactly why. And with 86% of millennials looking for responsibly resourced products, fair trade seems like a no-brainer. But what exactly is fair trade, and is it really more than just a marketing ploy to consumers to feel good about their purchaser? I spoke with 3 experts to get the scoop. Maya Spall, VP of Apparel and Home Good of Fair Trade USA, Jennifer Gutman, VP of the Social Consciousness at West LM, and Rebecca Van Bergen, founder and executive director of Nest, a nonprofit that supports women artisans globally. The reason for some of the confusion is that the term fair trade can be thrown around the blanket term for alternate method of commerce, even those as simple as tourists buying from local artisans and bringing the goods back home to sell. But let's start at the beginning. The fair trade movement began as early as the 1950s when Europeans and Americans traveling to the different countries observed that local artisans and farmers were struggling to cover the cost of their businesses. Most of these travelers would purchase some of those products and return to the Europes or the US to sell them for the higher price and then bring the profit directly back to the artisan and the farmers. Rice returned to the U.S. and founded the Fair Trade USA in 1997, bringing the certification model to large companies who sold commodity goods like cocoa, bananas, and tea. The organization began to educate corporations on why it was important not only to sell more ethical products under fair trade terms, but also to educate consumers by using the fair trade seal on products to increase awareness. Some of the earliest companies to get on board with fair trade were Green Mountain Coffee Roasters, Numi Tea, and Whole Food Market. Their certification process is complex and rigorous, generally taking anywhere between 6 to 9 months for a producer to achieve fair trade certified status. In the apparel and home goods program, brand partners such as Patagonia and Williams-Sonoma nominate their best-in-class suppliers to enter the program. Then Fair Trade USA does a pre-assessment of the factory through an introductory webinar and in-person meeting with the workforce and management. They enlist an unbiased third-party auditor to evaluate performance against the fair trade standards. Finally, awarding certificate to compliance factories. This audit process is repeated annually, and the Fair Trade USA Factory Services team provides in-country supports to ensure everything runs smoothly on an ongoing basis. Another piece the field workers help the Fair Trade Committee with during the process is to open a bank account that will serve as a premium fund, which will go towards a community project agreed upon by the Fair Trade Committee, a combination of management and members of the workforce. Deciding how to invest those premium funds depends on the needs of each particular workforce, the issue or barriers they face. Something as simply as giving every employee a bicycle can be transformational. This is something a group in India did, allowing workers and families to more easily get groceries, take their kids to school, and commute to work. In one factory in Sri Lanka, workers elected to build a nursery school right next to the factory. It was the first time children there had access to school under the age of 5. Plus, it gave the parents more time with their children since the school was so close to where they work. Other groups have invested in things like health insurance, gasoline vouchers, health and sanitation kits, subsidized food, and at the factory of rebuilding homes after a devastating earthquake. One factory even funded a summer camp. At ang mga sumusunod ay ang mga opinyon ng tatlong experts. At iyon na at maraming salamat.